everyone, Jared Sandler with you. Hope you're having a great start to your week already. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Just a reminder, I would certainly appreciate if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Would always appreciate sharing these conversations with your friends and family and whomever you think might enjoy. I want to thank you again for bearing with me on the audio. This could be the last video I do without a microphone that's been on back order now for 5 weeks due to the pandemic. But I'm excited. It is supposed to arrive this week, so I cannot wait. But I want to appreciate you guys for bearing with me on this. Again, love to interact with you, so feel free to comment on things that I've said, things maybe you'd like me to discuss or go over. Just a reminder on my channel, in addition to these commentaries, which I do 3 to 4 times a week, also bring you interviews. Hoping to bring you an interview with Brian Broaddus this week about the Dax situation and maybe going over how Mike McCarthy's offense could look different with Kellen Moore obviously still a part of the mix. CeeDee Lamb's role in the Cowboys offense and some other elements that Broaddus has some expertise on. Also have some funny interviews, the Just Hangin' series and then the Justice Sec podcast series, in which I have long-form interviews with people in and out of the sports world about their journeys, what makes them tick, stories, stuff like that. So check out the channel to catch some of that content and hopefully enjoy. And like I said, would love to hear from you, things you'd like to see, things you'd like to hear, or if you have questions, obviously would love to answer those as well. All right, so first of all, just Cowboys news, big news that's on the ticker. Dak Prescott is reportedly going to sign his franchise tender. Depending on when you're seeing this, maybe he's already done it today. That's a commitment of $31.4 million if he stays under the franchise tag. Cowboys have until July 15th to work out a long-term deal with Dak. And really all this means is that Dak is not going to hold out. So if you were worried about a Dak holdout, this alleviates those concerns. Otherwise, it's still kind of business as usual as far as trying to figure out an extension. Dak still has a ton of leverage because next year, I don't think the Cowboys are going to let him walk. But let's say, next year franchise tag comes about, then you're talking between his cap hit and Amari Cooper's cap hit about 30% of the financial pie, which is tough to withstand. Signing Dak to a long-term deal allows you to lower his cap hit not only for this year but next year, and it gives you a little more freedom, a little more wiggle room. Before we get into baseball, I'm going to go over the Ken Griffey Jr. documentary, and then I'm starting to get active on Reddit, and I guess a part of these various Reddit communities, and had some people, part of the Rangers Reddit, request that we go over a few things involving the pitching, so we're going to do that. Unfortunately, again, you can see this on the ticker, a noose was found in Bubba Wallace's garage at Talladega Motor Speedway in Talladega, Alabama. And there have been a lot of people who have come out and issued some really compelling commentaries and powerful commentaries about this. And I think just in general, NASCAR's response, where it might not have been this way 5, 10, 15, 25 years ago. NASCAR's response has been great through all of this, basically saying we're going to find this person and he's not going to be a part of NASCAR ever again. It doesn't change the fact that this is a despicable act. And we've talked about learning and listening and asking questions and having conversations. I'm just going to tell you this. If you're watching this and you're someone who doesn't think that hanging a noose or doing anything similar to Bubba Wallace and putting it in his garage, or if you basically assess that situation and think, oh, what's wrong with that? He deserves it. Stop watching. I have no desire to have those sorts of people subscribe and consume my content. I am so willing to have conversations and to talk to people or interact with people who are willing to listen. Maybe their perspective is different. It's not about having a different perspective and me not liking that. I love different perspectives, and maybe you're someone who hasn't aligned with a lot of the movement that is taking place, but you're not going to go hang a noose in someone's garage, and you're willing to listen, that's fine. You're someone who doesn't particularly think too highly of black people, but hey, you understand that you're in the minority and you're willing to listen. I'd much prefer that than someone who's doing what Bubba Wallace had done to him. And if you think that's okay, just stop listening. I know we're supposed to, fight for every listener and every subscriber and every viewer, but it's, those views to me just aren't worth it. The sooner we can eliminate these acts, not just in the sports world, because it happens more prevalently out of the sports world, we're going to continue to grow as a society. All right, I lied. One last thing. The ESPYs last night. I recorded the first part because it overlapped with the Griffey doc and watched the last part. I feel like it's become cool to crap on ESPN. I know ESPN's changed, and they certainly do some things now that they didn't do then that maybe I don't love and a lot of people don't love. ESPN to me is still the worldwide leader for a reason, but the ESPYs is a special program. And growing up, I used to like the ESPYs because during the commercials they would show, like before the weeks leading up, they would highlight maybe a category and show highlights of the nominees, and I'd love to vote. Now I love the ESPYs because of the narrative awards, the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage, the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance, the Pat Tillman Service Award, all the other forms of recognition and honors, the stories they tell, the inspiring, courageous stories they tell. I always enjoy watching the ESPYs. And so shout out to the winners of those narrative awards, with arguably the most recognizable name being Kevin Love winning an award for his work raising awareness for mental health and trying to erase that stigma. All right, so the Griffey doc. Ken Griffey Jr. and Michael Young are my two favorite players growing up. And I'd say that, Griffey probably had more of an effect on me. I was a lefty. I played the outfield. I tried to have his batting stance. Griffey was amazing. I enjoyed the doc. If you're looking for like a super in-depth Last Dance type of presentation, you weren't going to get that. That's not what this was about. It did kind of go over Griffey's career. It wasn't an hour and a half full of storytelling, but I think you did learn something. I think it was. I did think it was better than A Long Gone Summer, in which I felt like there really weren't any stories, and you didn't learn a whole lot. But this was good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it was an award-winning presentation, but it did tell, I think, an important story about an important figure in baseball. And I say that because for people my age, whether Ken Griffey Jr. was a favorite player or not, and he was probably the most commonly named favorite player, he had an impact on baseball and the fan base that transcended just his dominance between the lines. He helped, he was baseball's first celebrity, and they went over that. He had his first, the first baseball player had his own shoe. He was, and they discussed it again, he was in movies, TV shows, commercials. He helped grow the game. He helped grow the sport. And he also helped save baseball in Seattle. And this was actually something that, I certainly didn't realize when it went down in '95, but have read about since, that, his famous run against the Yankees and really his performance that series and in combination with Edgar Martinez's double, but that walk-off win and winning that series helped save baseball in Seattle because there was concerns about whether they'd get the support for a new ballpark. They eventually did. Safeco Field, or whatever it's called these days, I think it's still Safeco, is credited as the house that Griffey built. It's crazy because I think we think about Griffey's career and think about how he still left us wanting more because of the injuries. That 3-4 year stretch that he basically lost a big chunk of, and maybe was really never the same after that. Even though he had some productive seasons, I think still 2 All-Star seasons after that wave of injuries. Still had 630 home runs. I mean, isn't that amazing? We say, God, what could have been? But he had 630 home runs. I mean, this guy could do it all. He was amazing. He was truly a special player. It was cool to watch. I actually had my wife, who knows I love Griffey, but I don't think really knew much about him, watch it. And my wife's grandmother wanted to watch it as well. Griffey's a powerful figure. And Mike Trout, to me, is the best player I've ever laid eyes on. Ken Griffey Jr. is second. I'm not saying he's the second greatest player of all time because injuries got in the way of him maybe proving that. Obviously, with what Barry Bonds accomplished, if you're going to just group all the players in together, then, it's tough to surpass that with his numbers. But Griffey did it cleanly. They actually spent some time talking about that. Never once was on a list, never once was suspected. Body didn't change, all sorts of stuff. Body didn't change unnaturally. Obviously, he was different as a 27-year-old than he was as a 17-year-old when he was drafted. But, he did it the right way. And to me, this second best player that I've ever seen. It was incredible watching him do what he did. All right, so I want to thank all the folks that are part of the various Reddit communities, be it the leagues. I started to follow the baseball, NHL, the MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA, I think even college basketball, college football Reddit communities, and then sports-specific or team-specific, Cowboys, Mavericks, Stars, Rangers, and have really leaned on those discussions to maybe get some more ideas and things to talk about. And so I certainly appreciate the people on Reddit for throwing some topic ideas my way. And I'm going to tackle two of them. One person on Reddit asked about my outlook for this year's rotation and specific questions about, can Corey Kluber return to form? Can Lance Lynn and Mike Minor even do anything that resembles what they did last year? And what about 4 or 5 in the rotation with Lyles and Gibson? Can they improve upon what was, a horrendous pairing in the back end of the rotation results-wise last year? So with Corey Kluber, the answer is, who knows? Well, really, the answer is who knows on any of this stuff, right? But coming off an injury, missing a year, it could go one of two ways. This could be a sign that he's breaking down and he's already doing this, and we're not going to see any of that or even any of that. That's possible. Just with his age, being, 33, 34 range, he's going to, he's thrown a lot of innings. Now, one side of folks will say, well, that's a good thing that, last year he didn't throw a lot of innings because, the injury, and it gave his arm some time to reset, and he's obviously not going to be throwing 200 innings this year. Last year, his numbers weren't great. He's been a slow start in the last 4 or 5 years. April's always been his worst month, so it's tough to know because we didn't see more of it, whether or not that's what that was just kind of his typical bad April, or if there was something more alarming. The velocity isn't what it used to be, but that doesn't mean he still can't be effective. He still had better than a strikeout per inning last year. And so I'm confident that you're going to get a really good pitcher. Is this going to be a guy who's going to compete for a Cy Young? I'm not as confident in that, and I don't even know if he's going to be your best pitcher. It depends on whether Lance Lynn and Mike Minor can replicate what they did. But I do think Corey Kluber is going to be a guy who, whenever he takes the ball, you feel pretty damn good that you're going to get a really good performance. My guess, if I were to, people wanted to put numbers on it, if he were to have 162 games worth of starts, so 32 starts, my guess is his ERA would be around 3, maybe 3 1/4. That's the type of performance I'm looking at. I always say, well, why does that matter if it's 162 and 30 starts versus, if he only gets, like 8 to 9 starts, 10 starts, one bad start can totally change those numbers. So I think that's the type of performance you're going to get from him consistently. As far as whether or not Lance Lynn can do what he did last year, interestingly, in a career year for Lynn, his FIP, his fielding independent pitching, which is a statistic that in comparison to ERA is supposed to neutralize a lot of factors and maybe show more of a true ERA, taking some luck and fielding components out of it. You'd think for a guy who had a career year, maybe his FIP would be higher, and FIP numbers read just as an ERA would read. So if a guy had a 3 ERA and a 4.00 FIP, that FIP is essentially saying that with neutralized conditions, his ERA would be 4. Now, that's not like 100% accurate. It's not like, if all these things didn't happen, it would definitely be 4. It's just what you would read and seeing that is, well, maybe he got a little lucky and outperformed some of those process numbers that help predict future success. Well, Lance Lynn's FIP was actually better than his ERA, which suggests that maybe he got a little unlucky. I think his creative use of the fastball is really impressive, and his ability to kind of mix up what he leans on start to start And there's just a toughness about him you can't quantify. Doesn't care about the heat, doesn't care about tough situations, doesn't care when he has a bad start. And I say that because I don't know that that's necessarily a strength for Mike Minor. I do think that sometimes Mike Minor, has a little going on in here. We saw that in July when the trade stuff was going down and he had a really bad month. I'll say this. I think both guys are definitely capable of having around a similar year. If you were to ask me, Jared, who are you more confident in? There are factors with Mike Minor that do concern me. His FIP was actually worse. Second half of the season, he was not that sharp. He had an ERA around 5 post-All-Star break. Of course, that was weighted by a bad July. But I think Mike Minor's got better stuff than Lynn. I think Mike Minor's upside, his ceiling is still better. The ability to use the fastball, slider, and changeup as effectively as he can, but then he still has that curveball that he'll mix in. The difference in numbers, the big difference, and the reason why Minor's FIP was higher is the home run ball. He gave up about 10 more home runs than Lance Lynn. And those things, because home runs don't involve fielding, and a home run is a true outcome, true result, those are numbers that can impact your FIP. So I do expect both guys to be really good. I expect this to be maybe not a three-headed monster like, what the Tigers had, a few years ago with Verlander, Scherzer, and like Anibal Sanchez and Fister or whatever. But I do think it's going to be a very good three-headed monster and the best threesome the Rangers have had atop the rotation probably in franchise history. Now, 4-5, are the Rangers going to get better performances there? Jordan Lyles is a really interesting case study. 29 years old, will turn 30 in October, but he's got nearly 1,000 big league innings. And a lot of those innings have not been so successful. But he got called up super early because the Astros were horrendous, and they were just putting anybody with a pulse on the field so that they could tank. And that was Jordan Lyles before he was truly ready. Last year was an interesting season for him because he really made some pitch usage changes and started using the sinker less and elevating the fastball more. He had a horrible July, but his final 10 starts, he had an ERA around 2.50. And if you take out that July, he had an ERA for the rest of the season around 3. And a lot of people think that something clicked with Jordan Lyles. So excited to see him there with Kyle Gibson. He was having a good year, and then the ulcerative colitis really impacted him strength-wise. Now, he's a guy who might, in a way, benefit from this delay because we saw with Jake Diekman when he came back from his ulcerative colitis stuff that it took him a little bit of time to get his sea legs under him. Well, Kyle Gibson now has had that time to perhaps regain that strength, and even though it's not in a true game setting, kind of knocks some of the cobwebs off. So, are you getting all-star performances from either guy? I don't know that, you should bet on that, although Jordan Lyles certainly back half of last season certainly gave you stuff that represented that or replicated that. But what I would suggest is you're going to have a really solid 4-5. And again, I think 1 through 5, this is going to be the best rotation the Rangers have had in a long, long time. Maybe ever. All right, finally, one Redditor asked who's going to be here in 2022, just looking ahead to the future. And so I found a few guys on the pitching staff, starters and relievers, who I think will be here in 2022. Kyle Gibson is still under contract. That would be his final year, and I'm going to go ahead and say that just his clubhouse presence and leadership is something they'll value, and he'll be around. Taylor Hearn, I think, will be here, but probably as a reliever. Jose Leclerc, I think, will be here, and then I think Colby Allard will be here, and then Jonathan Hernandez. I'm not going to guarantee any of these guys, obviously. The reason I've left off Brock Burke, Tommy John, and who knows how that's going to impact him. Joe Palumbo's had a history of injuries, and just odds are that if I had to pick, because not everyone's going to still be here, those are the guys I'd leave off. So if I had to guess, 2022, gave you 5 names, one guy in the rotation, Kyle Gibson, and then you got Taylor Hearn, Jose Leclerc, Jonathan Hernandez, probably out of the bullpen, and then another guy in the rotation, Colby Allard. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks again so much for hanging out and tuning in. Please share with your friends, family, whomever. Thanks so much for bearing with me with the audio, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.